You're listening to the Never Heard of It podcast,
a Night Shift Radio original. Every week we bring you the good,
the bad,
the weird,
and lesser known streaming movies.
Hit subscribe for new episodes every Thursday and Sunday. So it's been a big week for me.
Okay.
And it would have been for you if Google Stadia would have got its shit together.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah. I still haven't fully recovered my ambition for gaming since that happened. You know, like I told you a while back, I downloaded and played some Cult of the Lamb, and definitely loved it. But it's just like a lot of the wind in my sails just kind of drained out after the Stadia shut down.
That's completely understandable. I can't think of, aside from the Sega Dreamcast, I can't think of another time. Was that Sega or was it Sony?
Dreamcast was Sega, yeah.
It was Sega?
Yep.
I can't think of another time where a console just like crashed and burned.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, yeah, Dreamcast did so bad. But here's the thing. I knew some diehard Dreamcast fans, and a couple of them in college almost won me over on a couple of titles. But like realistically, that console was garbage. The controller was awkward. The game selection was weird, and I just it didn't hit for me.
I think there was like, it couldn't get that mainstream connection, and I think that is what sank it. And maybe that's the thing with Stadia. Maybe that's what happened, but I don't think so, because we know that Google has a track record of losing interest. I wouldn't even say that they're like, we're going to cut our losses type thing. I just think they have a track record of losing interest in projects and just being like, I don't want to deal with that anymore, so we're just going to shut it down.
Honestly, that's not that far from the truth. It's like you're pretty much onto it. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a shame. So anyways, I'm referring to the big release of Destiny 2 Lightfall.
Yeah.
Which is the brand new, large story campaign, introduced a whole new subclass called Strand.
Neat.
And it's really great, but there's this big controversy, as always, controversy in gaming. No way. What?
You're lying.
That never happens. So there's this big controversy right now because people are complaining about the story. And I agree, but not to the degree in which people are complaining.
Interesting.
So the thing is Destiny started 9 years ago with Destiny 1, and they introduced a couple of plot points that were like, here's these things, and this thing happened, and there's this thing called the Traveler, and it's this giant planet-like thing, but there's something coming after it.
Okay.
And it's the darkness, and the darkness is coming after it, and it's going to steal the Traveler, and when it does, we don't have superpowers anymore, and we're no longer immortal. So this is a big deal, right? This is a really big deal. Flash forward 9 years, right? We get little snippets of this plot over the course of 9 years. Destiny becomes Destiny 2.
Yeah.
We get a whole bunch of other plot lines. Now we see that there's this armada of pyramid-shaped ships. We saw that a couple of years ago, heading towards the Traveler, and we're like, this is the darkness. Here it fucking comes. They've been warning us since the beginning. Here it comes, and then it finally gets here, and they're like, no, we're not the darkness, actually. And we're like,
what?
Wait, what? And they're like, yeah, no. We use the darkness, but the darkness isn't bad. It's just another source of superpowers, like stasis, which they introduced 2 years ago in Beyond Light.
Okay.
And now there's Strand, which they just introduced. These are darkness powers, but darkness isn't bad. It's very yin-yang of like, light is these aspects and dark is these aspects, but neither are good or bad.
Okay.
It's just kind of like you could have the light subclasses and be a dick, or you could have the dark ones and be a good person. Either or, it works. So they finally get here, right? And they're all like, no, we're not the darkness, but we're here to kill the Traveler. But we got to find this thing in this hidden planet, and we're going to go down this thing called the Veil.
Okay.
Nobody knows what it is. We've been talking about it for a couple of years now, but we got to go down and get this Veil, because that's how us, the bad guys, are going to destroy the Traveler, and then you guys don't have superpowers anymore, and then we can just steamroll you because now you're all mortal.
Yeah.
And, we're like, shit, that sounds bad.
Yeah.
So we go to this secret planet and all the people living there, and we're like, hey, dudes, like, what the fuck is the Veil? And they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it might be this weird thing that lives under the city that no one ever talks about and has no idea what it is. And we're like, yeah, that's the one. And so we go down. That sounds like it. That totally sounds it. So we go down and find the veil, which is really just this giant amoeba-like thing. And it's not a creature. It's just like this mass of energy.
Okay.
And we finally get down to it, and the bad guys get down there to it. And we're like, fuck, now we got to fight the bad guys. So we fight the bad guys and we defeat them. And we're like, haha, idiots. Now you don't got the veil. But then the main bad guy destroys the traveler anyways without the veil, and we still don't know what the veil was or its purpose, and it just kind of felt like this weird MacGuffin where it was like, you gotta find the veil, and then you finally do, and they're like, yeah, no, we don't actually care about the veil, and he was gonna kill the thing anyways.
It was a distraction.
Yeah, so it was really weird. So the problem is that this is the last big expansion, the second to last. This is the penultimate expansion before the final chapter of the Light and Darkness saga of Destiny. So this has been, they've been saying like this is, since Destiny 1 to now is what's called the Light and Darkness saga.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to be the thing that happens right before the final shape, which is the name of the expansion that comes out next year, which is the end of the Light and Darkness saga, potentially the end of Destiny 2. It'll move to Destiny 3. Maybe no one really knows that exact detail yet, but Destiny's still going to be going on. So the problem that everybody has is that they release this penultimate thing and they don't give you any answers and raise more questions. So it kind of feels like, well, then what was the purpose of the expansion? Yeah. Because like this could have been done in like a cutscene at the end of a season, like, and not warrant this giant, $80 expansion that I had to buy.
Yeah.
When you didn't give me any new information and then basically piled on even more new information that I was like, well, now what's all that mean? So I get why people are frustrated. I completely understand that. Yeah. And they introduced a brand new character. And, we talk about this in our episode coming up this Sunday. By the way, this Sunday, we have a brand new episode.
It's true.
We're talking about a movie called Dracula on Holiday. But we talk about this, but the character in Destiny that they introduce is dorky. And it becomes grating because it's like, like one of the things he said, I forgot, he says like, there's an army called the Shadow Legion, and he goes, Shadow Legion, Schmadow Legion. And I'm like, fucking stop. What? Come on.
No.
Like, who wrote that dialogue and was like, yep, that's the one. Feel really confident about that.
We got to ship this one right away.
Right away. It was cringy. It just feels awkward. And the worst part about it is that he says it. He's an NPC, so he says it every time you walk up to him. And I'm like, God, make it stop. Please make it stop. No. It's so bad. And it's frustrating. So I sympathize with everybody who is very frustrated with the story. Now, all of that aside, tons of really great things happened in Destiny. A lot of quality of life upgrades. Strand, the new subclass, is insanely fun because you can grapple around like Spider-Man, and it's just super fun. There is a lot of really great things to talk about with the expansion, but the story is not one of them. But it's not enough to turn me off of playing.
That's like,
but I get it. I do understand where people are saying.
I like, just from what you've described to me, I wouldn't want to play this, because what is the point of an expansion if you are not expanding on the story?
So here's where the other part is. So Destiny works in kind of a weird way, and you know this, but for the audience listening, there's one major expansion a year, and that progresses the large plot, like the accompanying, like galaxy-wide plot.
Sure.
And then there's seasons, which last roughly 12 weeks, and those are always like either a B plot, like a subplot, or they sort of fill in the blanks to the larger plot as they go. The season, which is called Season of Defiance, story is great, and the gameplay is great, and like the whole idea of it is, it's just really fun, and the story is really cool. It brings back a really great character, Queen Mara Sov.
Oh yeah,
and she's just really fucking cool. And like you work with her a lot, so it's fun. And I love the season, and the season gave me a lot of really cool story bits that don't necessarily tie directly to Lightfall, but do answer questions that I've had over the past couple of years of the seasonal storyline. They did a really good job with that. It's just the Lightfall story falls flat. Gameplay, great. Loved it to death. It was fun to play, but every time somebody spoke, I'm like, I don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what's happening. It's not clicking for me. So that's what the frustration part is. But that's Lightfall, hitting on Destiny 2. If you're a longtime Destiny 2 fan, look, you already bought it. You're already playing it, right? Like, it came out like 2 weeks ago. I ain't turning you over. But if you're a passive Destiny fan, it's worth it just for Strand alone. Like, it is worth it for the new subclass for me completely.
It's funny. You keep saying Strand, and I know what you mean because I remember watching the trailers and the announcement and whatnot. But I mostly associate the word Strand with the name Victor Strand from Fear the Walking Dead, Coleman Domingo's character, who is such a weird character that, like, every season was an arc of like, hey, wait, is Victor a bad guy this year? Okay, yep.
Yeah, totally. He's totally a bad guy this year. Yeah.
So you say Strand, and I hear Victor Strand.
And that's, it's kind of funny about that sort of like plot line thing, because that happened in House of the Dragon with Matt Smith's character. Because the first season, you're like, this guy's bad. Like, he is a bad person. I don't like this guy. And then, like, late as the season progressed, because there's only one season, so like the first couple episodes, you're like, yo, fuck this guy. And then, like, episode 4 rolls around and you're like, well, hang on. Like, he's kind of cool and he does this really cool badass thing.
Yeah.
And like, he defeats somebody that's bad and you're like, okay, well, all right. And then later, it becomes incestuous, sort of. They're like second cousins or whatever, but it's still incestuous.
Sure.
And he marries his like second cousin and they have kids, but he's fiercely protective of them and her, and he's very like chivalrous about it. And it's like, you're kind of a good, like, it was a very weird thing, but they didn't make it a redemption arc. It's just all of a sudden he was good. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Michael, you know as well as I know that just because you are a bad guy doesn't mean you are a bad guy.
Crush man's head like sparrow egg between thighs. That's great. Yeah, it was really weird, but like, that's weird with those sort of like anti-hero characters, but it was really weird to see happen over the course of like 8 episodes, is like starting off being like, holy shit, this is a bad dude, like straight up villain character, not like sort of bad, like, Negan, where it's like, yeah, he does bad things, but it's for a greater cause. Like, no, he was just villain, like villain level. And then all of a sudden you're like, I kind of like him. He's one of my favorite characters.
And that, I won't say that every moment of it was great, but speaking of Negan, like, I think, a lot of people bailed on The Walking Dead fairly early. So they may not.
I think it's season 3.
Negan has a actually pretty fantastic villain to redemption arc, where it's never fully like a complete 180 and everybody loves him and he's a hero, but like actually has a challenging, controversial redemption arc, and it's interesting. And like, his character, I mean, I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan, absolutely love him to death. And the way he is able to go from what appears to be a sadistic, brutal dictator of a man to like a more nuanced kind of anti-hero to in like actually like arguably a protagonist of the end seasons. Really, really interesting. Well done to Jeffrey Dean Morgan. It's fresh on my mind because we just finally finished the series recently and got caught up on Fear the Walking Dead. So like, all of this stuff is in my head. It's really fascinating, and like, I understand. I mean, we've gone into it before. I understand why people bailed. I disagree, and I think it was a great show, and I think the ending wrapped up really interesting. But Negan, interesting guy.
Yeah. I mean, clearly enough to get his own series. Everyone loves. I forgot about that. Everyone loves Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I remember him mostly from 2 things. One, he was in Grey's Anatomy, so I remember him from Grey's Anatomy. My wife at the time loved Grey's Anatomy, so we used to watch it all the time, and I remember those episodes. But he was also in a really great rom-com called P.S. I Love You.
Oh yeah,
which I loved that movie. I love that movie a lot. It's such a heartbreaking movie, but he's really great in that movie as well. That's Hilary Swank and Gerard Butler. Harry Connick Jr.'s in it. Lisa Kudrow, like, really great cast. Really, really like, it's a sad movie, but like it has a good,
Yeah.
like it has a good ending, because the whole movie is really about getting over grief, right? Because her husband dies,
Yeah.
and it's him helping her move on from his death, and it's just, it's a very it's a great story. It's a great story. I'm a really big fan of that movie. So
Yeah. Well, and he's just such a charmer.
he really is.
He's
It's
irresistible.
because he's so good looking.
He really is. Just
Yeah. And I always forget that he's the dad from Supernatural.
He is Mr. Winchester. That is correct.
Yeah. At which there is a prequel series called The Winchesters, which is about the mom and dad meeting for the first time and like fighting ghosts. But it is basically just the plot of Supernatural, just with the parents.
I haven't seen it. It looks interesting. I'm curious.
I had a really hard time getting into it, only because I was like, this feels very... Like, it feels very formulaic. Like, it felt so much like Supernatural, just with different people, that I was like, it almost feels like a ripoff. Like, it didn't offer me anything new.
I might be into that though. I suppose like the early Supernatural episodes, especially when they like before they started the like kind of weirder, longer story arcs that have gotten them 40 seasons or whatever.
Where they fucking around with God and shit like that.
Yeah, when it was primarily a Monster of the Week type show, that formula was a fuck ton of fun. And it's not to say that the show got bad. It's just like some of the fun went out of it in some of the more involved plots. And so I think a return to that formula, as long as the casting and the writing is good, I could get into that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, you should check it out. Listen, I don't want to upset any Supernatural fans. I know you have a very passionate following of Supernatural people.
It's true. It's true.
And I am not saying that it's bad, and I'm not saying that Supernatural was bad either. We are all for them. They look really cool. But I had a hard time getting in the Winchesters because it felt too similar to
Totally
me.
fair.
It didn't feel like it offered anything new. Then again, I also bailed on Supernatural. I mean, not intentionally. It just sort of went away, and I never had the motivation to go back to it.
Yeah.
So after a couple of seasons, but yeah.
Well, and I mean, if someone was a super fan of Supernatural, they probably knew about and have already watched this. So, like, again, like you said earlier, not swaying anyone's opinion, just like with Destiny. But like someone who maybe missed this, like me, hearing that description, like it's either gonna be like, okay, no, I'll pass. Like, I'm fine with Supernatural, or like, oh, that sounds like fun. I'll watch it. So now I have to find out where this is streaming. Was it on Netflix?
It's on the CW app. You can watch it for free. That's what the great thing about the CW app is. You don't need to have a TV service or anything. You literally just download the CW app, sign in. I think you have to create an account, but I'm not entirely sure. And then you can watch all of their shows for free, like the day after they air.
I learned
so like you can
something
watch
today.
The Flash, you can watch like all of that. It's great. And that's the thing, like, a couple of years ago when the CW was airing a lot of shows I was watching, when it was airing like The Flash and like Legends of Tomorrow and Legacies and all those shows, and I was really into all those shows, it was awesome to just load up the app the next day, watch that episode, because I don't have live TV. I don't have an antenna, so I don't have live TV. I don't have any sort of like TV package.
Right, same.
And it was great to just for free be able to do that when, shows or services like NBC and CBS, they require you to have a TV service in order to watch it. Like, you can't just watch the shows for free. Fox now has done this where they've, Hulu is a paid service. That's where you get all your Fox shows.
Yep.
CW was like, no, fuck that, man. We give you that shit for free. Go watch our stuff. We're just going to pepper it with a bunch of CW commercial ads.
Sure.
That's fine. I'm fine with that. A lot of
I'm
going to watch commercials if I watched it live anyways.
Yeah. A lot of this stuff is also on HBO Max, which is great if you have that service. But if you don't, again, like the ability to just go and watch this stuff as though you had regular network TV.
Yeah.
That's pretty handy. I respect that.
Yeah, and I think the Winchesters is still happening. I think they're still in their first season. Either it just ended, or it's still happening. Their first season. There was a couple of really good episodes. They go to a hippie commune. That was a cool episode because there's like a Scooby gang of them now. It's not just the mom and dad and that's it. That was a really cool episode. I love those sort of Monster of the Week episodes. We just talked about that, but it's just something about it. I couldn't stick with it.
Seems like there's one episode left in this first season, actually, and that is 2 days from when we were recording. So when this releases, it will already be available to watch. So if you're following, you probably know that. But if you're not, Well, now you know that the final episode of the season is ready to drop, and by the time you watch them all, it should be there.
Yeah, there you go. Fun. Yeah, so we mentioned we have a brand new episode coming out this Sunday. This Sunday, we're this month we're celebrating our 5th anniversary of doing this podcast. 5 years of a brand new episode every Sunday, and for the past couple of years, brand new episodes every Thursday and Sunday. As you're listening to one of our Thursday bonus episodes, that's a lot. It's a lot of episodes. So if you're fairly new to the podcast, you got a lot to go back and listen to. Go back, scroll through the titles. If something jumps out at you, you don't got to listen to all of them. But if a movie jumps out at you, you're like, ooh, that title sounds cool. That description sounds cool. Let me listen to that episode. Do it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And leave a rating and review while you're at it. So we're talking about the movie Dracula on Holiday. This is a Scottish film that came out in 2021. It is currently streaming on Tubi TV here in America as of time of recording this. So if you are the type of person that watches movies before we review them, that's where you go.
That's what you do. And as we've said every time, Tubi is free. Another service that you don't have to sign up for an account for. Just download the app or go to tubitv.com and just fucking watch the shit.
It's integrated in a lot of smart TVs now. They have a button for Tubi TV, which I think is awesome.
And if you've never watched a movie on Tubi before, welcome to the podcast. But you might actually surprise yourself with what's on there now. Like when we started this 5 years ago, it was basically just a treasure trove of terrible, and now it's a pretty broad, competitive streaming service owned by Fox. So a lot of Fox content on there, and live stuff too, news and sports and whatnot.
Very large kids section too, with a lot of old cartoons, which is really great. Like all the old Nintendo cartoons are on there. So like you can watch the old Legend of Zelda. You can watch the Super Mario show. There's like G.I. Joe is on there. Some old Transformers. Like there's some really cool old shows as well as some newer shows. I mean, Tubi has for a free service that you don't need to sign into. Tubi offers a lot of great stuff. Obviously, it's all ad supported, except for the kids side. There's no ads on the kids side because there's a law about that.
Hey, I like that.
There's a law that came out in 1993 about that, that you can't have ads during kids shows. Or you can have ads, but it has to be a limited number of ads, and it can't be advertising for the product of the show that you're watching. So if you're watching G.I. Joe, they can't show you a commercial for G.I. Joe, which they used to do when we were kids.
Oh, yes.
That's what they used to do. But after 1993, that became a law. I can't watch, whatever, SpongeBob and then see a commercial for a toy for SpongeBob. That was against the law. So you can't do that.
That's fair. That's reasonable.
But also there was a limited number of commercials, but you could only advertise so many minutes, and streamers basically just dropped it. They were just like, fine, no commercials during kid stuff, whatever. It'll be maybe an ad for another show or something, but never for any of the commercials. It's just better that way. Protect the kids.
Yeah. That's
for real this time, and not, fake the way some people are doing.
One of any number of ways you can actually protect children.
Yes. Protecting them from ads.
From capitalism. Shelter them from capitalism for as long as possible.
Yes. This is the way. All right. Hey, thanks a lot for watching and listening. Drop subscribe wherever you happen to be. We super appreciate it. And of course, we will see you this Sunday for our brand new episode. Okay, goodbye.